Okay, we are live. Good day, everybody. And today we are reviewing chapter 34 of Attaining the World's Beyond. If you're new to watching our video, this is the 34th chapter. That means you've missed 33 chapters, which you have to check in our community. You see all the videos there. So suffering sent as absolute kindness. Well, I think this chapter was a bit of a conundrum by itself, and we've already started having this conversation. Imagine someone says, I'm sending you suffering because I love you. This is what, in other words, the creator said, you know what? The suffering is because I love you. I'm pretty sure you're going to turn around and say, excuse me, I don't want that type of love. I want love that I can feel good. I certainly don't want love that I can feel bad. But there is a twist about this particular chapter, isn't it? Because it started off with a very surreal statement, which I went through several times. It says, free will is the personal independent decision of a human being to choose that the creator should rule over them. This was a very surreal statement and very, very deep statement, because when a person make a choice that they want the creator to rule over them, effectively what they're saying, I do not want the ego to rule my life. But there is a twist, because the ego rules a person's life. And we don't have a choice about that, because we are tied to the ego. And because we are tied to the ego, every desire that we are trying to fulfill is already driven by the ego. And therefore, there's nothing there about free will. You may say, I'm making choices, but actually you're not making any choice here. Your ego is already driving you. It's telling you what to eat, what to wear, where to go. Everything you're doing is based on the ego. The only thing that you can possibly have a free will to do is to make a choice that the creator will rule. But this chapter then begins to tell us what happens the moment we make that choice. The moment we make that choice, it says that suddenly we are going to be faced with a big challenge, because we cannot allow the ego, we cannot serve the creator, we cannot do good to the creator, we cannot do anything similar to the creator, because we don't have the quality of the creator, and the creator has to give us this quality for us to be able to do so. And this is the biggest challenge that we have to face. How can we achieve it? It says we have to reach faith. But to reach faith above our reason is also a big challenge, because the body will always tell you, what is this work that you're doing? Why are you doing this? Because, it makes no sense. And you always have to constantly fight over these thoughts that will come into your mind, simply because the ego will always challenge us. And this is where the suffering comes. But there was one thing that he says, that in this world, we set goals to achieve material achievement. It could be money, it could be house, or whatever it is that we desire. Similarly, we have to set goal. If we are serious about pursuing the goal of the creator governing us, we must set similar goals. And just like we suffered to achieve our desires materially, we must strive to achieve the quality of altruism, and it's the labor of love. That is the element of suffering that we have to go through, because the creator will not reveal itself to us immediately until we invest. In other words, we have to invest something. Francis?
Yeah, thank you, Sheila. I will pick it up from the point that you made, that a person has to make a choice, either to serve egoism or to, turn to the Creator. It's interesting that we have that choice. And he says, when we make that choice, and the point where we come to permanently feel the Creator, that point is called the spiritual birth of an individual. The person is spiritually given birth to. And from that point, one has to labor or has to work, as Sheila was saying, to develop that desire that one attains through spiritual birth. So I'm able to feel the Creator second by second, split of second by split of second, minute by minute, hour by hour, day by day, week by week, month by month, year by year. I am spiritually born, but I need to develop it from there. It doesn't end there. Just like in this world, if I have a desire, I have to work on it. Like Sheila was saying, right? People study day in and out. We all know what we go through when we go to secondary school, university, and all kinds of things. You labor, you truly labor, you know. But then we see in this book, he gives two examples, the method of the Baal Shem Tov and the entire method of admonition. The Baal Shem Tov compares, the two lines, that is the corporeal life and that of a spiritual developing a spiritual desire. Whereas um, he paints a picture clearly that just like you suffer in this world to achieve something, in the same vein, to develop a spiritual desire, a person has to go through suffering. And the method of admonition even says that the suffering that we do corporeally to achieve reward cannot be compared, to the reward that we achieve spiritually. So, but why should a person think that in spirituality, everything should fall into his lap? It doesn't happen that way. One has to work. And this work, as we go through it, he describes the suffering that comes our way as, something that you can't even compare to the corporeal suffering. And we suffer because we don't have the right vessels or the right receptacles. You know, we feel the things that the Creator brings our way, which he calls absolute kindness, as suffering, simply because we're using egoistic vessels. And if we have altruistic vessels, we would not feel it as suffering. But eventually he challenges us to say that we need to ascend, go into above reason. In other words, because we're using egoistic vessels within our reason, everything that he gives to us, even though it's absolute kindness, we experience it as suffering. But the suffering, the intent, the main reason behind the suffering is that he wants to draw us closer. He brings us closer. We attain his qualities, his properties, and his nature, so that my egoistic nature begins to change. I think I'll hand it over to Tuso at this level. Tuso?
Thanks, Francis. You and Sheila have already summarized the entire chapter, but just to add a little bit, I'm sure one can ask themselves, how is it possible that suffering can be used as an absolute kindness? How is me suffering kindness? But if, as Francis and Sheila have already said, the Creator only has one goal, to give us the ultimate pleasure beyond all that can words describe. And for us to get that ultimate pleasure, we have to undergo a change in our qualities. Currently, our qualities are egoistic. We think of ourselves. We serve Pharaoh, as this chapter says, from morning till night. We all want to take for me, myself, and I. But the qualities of the Creator are absolute altruistic, where he only thinks for the benefit of the others, not myself or not the I. It also says that pleasure is preceded by sort of suffering, meaning for you to enjoy anything, first there must be a lack, a need for it. Whether it's thirst, if you are thirsty, for you to get quenched, you first must be thirsty. That's why this chapter is showing us that we need to undergo a different kinds of suffering. Unlike an example of someone studying very hard to go to the university and not doing all the enjoying their life or doing anything that everyone else is doing, but staying at home, not going to clubbing, partying, and all of those, but staying and studying so that at the end of the day they will be rewarded with a degree, a master's or doctorates or whatever. So during that time it was suffering because they wanted to go out, they wanted to go clubbing. So similarly, this work is the same as that. Once we begin this spiritual work, we will each and every single day try to wash over our egoism so that we can change our qualities from egoistic to reception. It cannot be that easy. I like the example that Sheila gave earlier on, saying that for you to be a medical doctor, you go through the suffering of 5 6 years of studying. It's not easy. At the end of the day, you get a reward, you can get a salary and get whatever you want. Same thing in spirituality. That's what we do. We want to change our nature so we can have the same quality as the Creator, which is pure altruism. And for us to have that, we undergo a change which is felt like suffering within our ego, because all we want to do is to receive ourselves. Now here comes someone saying it's better if you actually give to the others instead of receive for self. It's not easy for the ego, but that's part of suffering that we have to undergo. That's why it says it's kindness, because it's actually pushing us or pulling us towards the Creator. Because without suffering, for example, I can place my hand on a hot stove. If I don't have the neurons connecting my nerves to the brain and heart, my hand will be completely bent, because I'm not gonna feel the suffering in the heart. But because thanks to the neurons that connects, I can feel the suffering and quickly remove my hand. So suffering is like that. You mustn't even look at it as suffering per se, but as like a navigation system where it tells you turn left, turn right by pinching you just a little. Sheila?
Okay, it's very interesting because ultimately what the chapter is saying is that to for the Creator to rule over us, if we make that decision, we have to be similar to the Creator. But in what way are we going to be similar? We're going to have to feel everything the way the Creator feels everything. The Creator is good and always does good, but we feel the Creator differently because we have what it says that this klipa, there's something like a shell around our desires that filter out everything as though it can only get what will give it pleasure, and anything that will not give it pleasure, it will be felt instantly as a problem. But that does not mean that it's truth. It's just because the shell is around the desires in the form of protecting this egoism that we're tied to. But what I found very profound about this chapter, which I don't want anyone to miss, is what we should pray for. For the first time, it talks about whereas when we have this type of experience, we call it suffering, we want the Creator to remove the suffering. This is a bad prayer because this is a prayer of a beggar, This is a prayer that is not in line with what you want spiritually. You're asking the Creator to govern you, and the Creator can only govern you if you're similar in its quality. And then when the Creator is giving you the opportunity to become altruistic, you're saying, please get this trouble out of my life. That then means it's contradictory. It's not consistent. The other, it says, the prayer we should pray for is that we will acquire faith above reason. We will feel like the Creator feel. We will see like the Creator see. We will be so aligned as the Creator. That way we don't have any disturbance, because that's the true prayer. The true prayer is not to ask for solution, but rather to ask for correction of the vessel. It's to ask for the Creator to invert the vessel so that it's similar to the Creator's, and therefore we can perceive everything as the Creator perceives and does everything. And I thought that was profound, because I don't think I've ever prayed like this before. And when I saw this, I thought, oh my goodness me, imagine we go and ask the Creator, oh, please, I'm having this problem, can you solve this problem, and all the rest of it. How much far we are from the Creator we become when we do so, because automatically our quality is egoistic, not altruistic. So if we are ever wanting the Creator to come and govern us, our prayers in itself has to change. So with that, we close today, and we wish you all the best. And until next week, take care.
Thank you.